which you already used, and if you want to restore it, this is the place. If there is an instance or if it is already available, you can able to get it over here. Okay, or if you want to create a new instance, this is the place. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot it. And we have versions in ServiceNow. I forgot to talk about it. Okay, so versions in ServiceNow. Initially, once we have talked about, so versions are different types of in ServiceNow. So initially, if you go back in 2004 or 2000 until 2010, ServiceNow used to give the naming conventions on the seasons, which is spring and fall. Okay, and imagine that if a ServiceNow version has been released in spring, they are going to name it as 2005 spring. And if they are going to release in fall, they are going to say 2005 fall. Okay, same goes for other years as well. On an average, ServiceNow releases 2 versions in a year. One is in spring, one is in fall. Okay, these rituals or these methods have been followed until 2010. Then they came to a conclusion saying that, hey, why don't we create a unique innovative name? Why don't we have a different naming conventions? Okay, then they have came up with this idea saying that these are the versions name. Berlin, Calgary, Dublin, Eureka, PG, Geneva, Helsinki, Istanbul, Jakarta, Kingston, London, Madrid, New York, Orlando, Paris. Okay, so these are the versions of ServiceNow. What exactly they have been provided the naming conventions. On an average, as I told you, ServiceNow releases 2 versions in one single year. Okay, and if you closely observe what you see in here in the naming convention of ServiceNow, and what are these? Jay, Iqbal, what do you observe?
These are like new releases, right? I mean, they always
Yes,
coming and fixing bugs. They also adding some new features.
exactly. But what are these naming convention? What do they refer?
They are mostly cities, right? I mean,
Exactly. So these are the
London,
places across the globe where
yeah,
ServiceNow partners.
right.
Okay, and if you closely observe, they are going to follow the alphabetical order: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Okay, so if you anyone of uses Android phones, the Android versions are similarly. They are going to keep them naming conventions on the chocolates and alphabetical order. Similarly, ServiceNow follows the same, but instead of chocolates, they are going to give the places names, which is most famous city names across the globe. Okay, so this is what exactly the versions. And if you ask what is the difference between one version to other, okay, so they mainly there will be new features, what exactly they are going to provide it, and there will be hot fixes if there is anything which needs to be fixed, and then better UI, automation, and if you are having any specific additional functionalities, those will be added here. Okay, so these are the additions, or these are going to be the difference between one version to another version. Okay, so if you see, if you're going to create an instance, you'll be asked which version you want to create an instance. So it is a better suggestion to go with the latest instance or the earlier one. Do not go past like Madrid or New York or anything which hasn't done in the past, because the more recent you use, the more familiar with you will be if you are going to work for a company. Okay, so most of the companies will use Orlando or Paris. Very rare companies will have still New York. Okay, most companies by now has like a migrated to PaaS. Okay, so let's create for PaaS itself. Request. Okay, so it will take 2 seconds. 1 moment. We'll wait for a couple of seconds, then we'll start. Now we got it, 91449. So this is going to be your instance number. So each and every instance will have a specific unique number which will be allocated to you, and this will be the one-time password or the password which you are going to use. And the username is going to be admin unless and until you are going to change it from the profile.